There are still moves to be made with this side. I've used one of my 2 free transfers on a new goalkeeper, and that is Raya of Brentford due to Martinez and Argentina. We're looking at a 4-4-2, and at the back we've got Luke Shaw, Connor Cody, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Vladimir Coufal. The midfield 4 sees Rafinha, Harvey Barnes is still here, Captain Mo Salah, and Heung-min Son. And up front, I'm still rocking Danny Ings and Antonio, but like I said, there are moves to be made, decisions to be made, so let's look at the team and get into some details. Like I said before, I have still got some moves to make here. I've used one of my 2 free transfers on a goalkeeper, but it has put a million in the bank, and pretty simple, guys. The 2 moves I'm considering right now, you can see Grealish is on my bench, and that's because Grealish to a 4.5 million, Allen or Sissoko or Basuma, and then Ings, perfect money up to RoNoLdo. And I don't have to rush that move yet. Because RoNoLdo is price locked, Grealish isn't close to a price drop. So if that happens, that's possibly the move that I'm going to make. Logically speaking, though, I just feel as though if I'm going to wildcard around game week 6 to game week 8, is it worth taking a hit now to wildcard in a couple of weeks when maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin could potentially, or Jimenez could potentially equal RoNoLdo over the next couple of weeks if you bring in that minus points? It's a real tough call. Now, my heart is saying RoNoLdo because of what he's done in the past. He's a phenomenal player, one of the greats of all times. But can he just walk into United and do what he's done in the past? Is he at that peak physical condition? And is he up there with the formation, up to scratch with the formation United? How they're going to use him? We're not too sure. The likes of Calvert-Lewin have already started the season particularly strongly. Burnley have been a pretty leaky defence so far this season and back in the last season. So do you go for a proven striker that's around 8 million, or do you pay 4.5 million more for a player that lowers the rest of your quality across the field? So I'm sure a lot of people wildcard him, and if you are, I completely understand if you bring him in. If I bring him in, it's only for a -4. It could work out, but just logically speaking, I just think I could take 0 hits, Ings to Calvert-Lewin, and then wildcard in a couple of weeks, and then maybe bring him in. We're judging RoNoLdo on his stats and performances in Serie A the last few seasons, and looking back at how incredible he was at Real Madrid, and of course his Manchester United pass as well. But just remember that for 12.5 million, that makes him the joint most expensive player in the game for a forward who, I've always said, forwards, they're just not as valuable as midfielders. You know, extra points for goals, extra points for clean sheets. Feels like it's a higher chance of bonus. To bring someone in who might not even start that first game for 12.5 million is a very big deal. But I'm personally massively pulled towards it. He's under 20% ownership of time recording, so he's still in that area where if he does really well, you'll get lots of those points for effective ownership. So it's an incredibly tough call. You can see him in a 4-4-2 as well. I had planned to go 4-4-2. If you've seen things on this channel on Fantasy Football Scout, you know that I do believe in defenders. I think bringing in Cody for a couple of weeks until a wild card lets me save my wild card, because when I do pull that out of the bag, I'm going to be looking at Man City defender, I'm going to be looking at Chelsea defender, and I'm not there with them yet. I'm not ready for that, because Chelsea and City and Liverpool, they all play each other over the course of, I think, game week 6, game week 7, game week 8. So I don't want to be bringing them in now, which I talked about on the stream last Friday, because I think it's just a little bit too early. And by the time we get to game week 6, 7, 8, we're going to have even more data to look at, more eye tests, because some of the things where the long-term FPL managers, you know, up there in the Hall of Fame, they talk about, you know, long-term XG stats. So the likes of Ben Rama, for example, at West Ham, he's a fantastic start to the season, but we don't have that history of him doing that. RoNoLdo does have that history, but 12.5 million is a lot of money. So 4-4-2, you can see Barnes is in there. I'm just seeing it as I'm spending money for information. I don't want to take Barnes out right now for Traore because I might want RoNoLdo. I don't want to take a -8. I haven't made the Grealish and RoNoLdo transfer because he's price frozen, so I'm not in a rush. But I'm also keeping my eyes on Rafinha, because remember, there's some talk going around about the Brazilians potentially getting banned for the Premier League because they didn't go out and play for the national team. And of course, recently we've had Argentina and Brazil called off after 5 minutes. It was an absolute farce. But at the minute, this is how I'm looking. I still have some decisions to make. I'm unlikely to change Salah from captaincy. My heart is saying Grealish to a 4.5 million, Ings to RoNoldo. Because to be honest, Barnes has Man City. That's a good game for Leicester because they're a counter-attacking side and Barnes can potentially get behind. But the couple of games after this week for Leicester are pretty good. So if he turns the corner, a lot of people have been selling him. It becomes an even bigger differential for me. I still believe he could become a good asset. He's not shown it yet, but I'm not going to say -4 to take him out when he's got 2 good fixtures after this one. I'm trying to play a more patient game with fewer hits. So here's how I'm looking now, but I am leaning towards Grealish down to 4.5 and Ings up to RoNoldo. I just think logically I shouldn't be doing that. He hasn't played with Manchester United yet. He's 12.5 million for a forward, which makes him the joint most expensive and a very, very high price for a forward who hasn't even proven it in the Premier League in recent years. So it is a tough one, but we'll see what wins at the end of this week, my head or my heart. But of course, holding off until we hear some solid news and some team news as well. So let's have a look at the fixtures and see how game week 4 is shaping up. So let's have a quick rundown of the fixtures. So we do start game week 4 at Selhurst Park against Spurs. People might be put off Spurs assets because when they play a team like Crystal Palace who tend to sit, Spurs are a team that like to counter-attack and not going to get that option. But similar to how I felt against Watford, I still don't think Crystal Palace have the quality to keep out Spurs. Now, the issue that I'm going to be looking at Spurs in this one, because when I've watched them in the opening 3 games of the season, is when they get that first goal, they don't attack. They don't have that killer instinct with Nuno. He gets the goal and he makes it solid at the back, which for me makes Kane and Son a much easier sell. If you're on a wildcard or if you want to fund that move to RoNaldo or Lukaku, it does make it an easier sell. So Son's not done anything wrong for me yet, but I will be definitely watching this with a keen eye to see that if Spurs do get that goal, are they going to keep attacking and try and make it 2-3-4-0 or something like that? Arsenal-Norwich, I don't think anyone's bothered about this game. You might have White and he might finally make his debut. You might be looking at Tierney because Arsenal have a decent run of fixtures. But these lads are near the bottom and with good reason because they've been poor. Brentford-Brighton, I think a lot of people will be looking for 0-0s here. I myself brought Raya in because Brentford are looking pretty good solidly defensively. And I think a lot of people have got Sanchez and Brighton defenders. So 0-0 would be a perfect result for us there. Leicester against Man City. Leicester have looked poor at the start of this season, but this is the kind of game where they could turn it around. They could counter-attack. Similar to Spurs, are a very, very good counter-attacking side when they hit teams on the break. The issue with Man City, again, it comes down to Pep Roulette. It comes down to who's going to play, who's going to rest. The Champions League's coming in as well. And also a huge problem with Man City is that everything gets spread around. The goals are across the team. The assists are across the team. So who do you get from Man City? People are bringing in Torres because they think now he's nailed, 7.1 million. The striker down the middle for Man City seems like a pretty simple, straightforward option. But I just think there's Pep Roulette there. And talking earlier about like long-term stats, Torres doesn't have it. He blanked in the first 2 games of the season. And now he's done well in the previous game against a 10-man poor Arsenal side. And then suddenly he's now the bee's knees. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he plays 3 out of 5 games as striker of Man City, he might be worth that 7.1 with a 4.5 million defender solid on the bench. That might be a good move, but not for me. Newcastle looking incredibly shaky at the back. And we've got Manchester United, you got Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel sorry for the people in the UK. You can't watch this live. I'm going to be sat there watching it for sure. Sorry, sounds like I'm rubbing it in, but I'm not. I'm just excited for this game. I think a lot of football fans are. I will say, though, that selling Bruno Fernandes for a hit to get Ronaldo just feels not right. It just doesn't. If I'd have told you a couple of weeks ago, you're going to sell Ronaldo for a hit, you're going to sell Bruno for a hit to get Ronaldo, to get anyone, you'd have said I was absolutely crazy. So it's a difficult one for me. It really, really is. If I had Bruno, I wouldn't be selling him for a hit. I'll tell you that right now, because that's just the kind of thing that's going to come back and bite hard. Southampton, people are looking at Livermore. That's pretty much it. They've been okay at the start of the season, but not fantastic. West Ham, half the game have got Antonio now. I think a lot of people could even captain him again this week. Benrahma blanked when a lot of people brought him in. Again, it comes down to that long-term stats idea. Defensively, people might have Sufal or Cresswell. Yeah, I think we're back in West Ham for a couple of weeks. Decent run of fixtures. We've got United coming up, but apart from that, decent set of fixtures. Just keep an eye on the Europa League. Are they going to start resting people in the Premier League or in Europe? That's going to be a key one, especially Antonio. I think we're loving his double-digit returns now, a hat-trick of that, but I think it's always in the back of our minds. Oh my God, please be careful, Antonio, because we don't want to see anything bad happen. Watford and Wolves. Wolves start I think it's like a 10-game run now of some really, really nice fixtures. I've got Cody in now. Defensively, if you're on a wild card and you want to go for the goalkeeper Sarr, I completely understand that one as well. I wanted to bring in Traore or Jimenez. I don't think Jimenez is ready. I really want Traore, but again, it comes down to taking hits. I don't think I need to. Barnes has got 2 good fixtures after Man City. I don't want to take a hit, a -4, for a player that's just about to have 2 good fixtures as well. But I do think Traore in a wild card for 6 million opens up a lot of money and opens up a lot of options. Chelsea against Aston Villa. People are bringing in Ronaldo by the droves, but not Lukaku anymore. That has changed over from Lukaku to Ronaldo. But honestly, I'm more scared of Lukaku this weekend than I am of Ronaldo. But the thing is, for the next, say, 3 or 4 fixtures, I'm more scared of Ronaldo than Lukaku because Chelsea's got some tough fixtures coming up after this one. Aston Villa, no keeper, maybe no Mings, maybe no Konsa. We'll have to wait and see for that. They're at home. I honestly would say that if you're not leaning towards Salah as captain, Lukaku as captain is a fine choice there. Speaking of Salah captaincy, he's currently my captain. We've got Leeds against Liverpool. Leeds, I don't want to shout around second season syndrome because it's too early. It's too early to say that. But what I will say is Leeds have not looked good defensively. And there's a big reason why Salah is still getting back for the captaincy. Even though it's at Ellen Road, even though it's at Leeds, I still think that Liverpool are going to have them on toast. I don't want to say they get found out. I'm going to say that Sheffield United, when they came up, they had that 3 rotating centre-back system. And they were incredible in the first season. And then the second season, they were terrible and went down. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Leeds, but hard work is great. Having murder ball and running around for 90 minutes is fantastic. But if you're not keeping those clean sheets and you're not scoring enough, then that is a problem. That is a huge problem. And then finally, Everton Burnley. Calvert-Lewin is a decision I need to make. Do I want Ronaldo? Do I want Calvert-Lewin? He is carrying, I think it's still a toe injury, or he's done his thigh in. He wasn't in the England side. But Burnley, surprisingly, for a team that has been so good defensively for a few years now, you'd always pop in a 4.5 million Burnley defender when they had a decent run because they were always defensively pretty sound, but they've been awful. They've been pretty poor defensively since the back end of last season. So if you are still backing the likes of Luca Dean with the crosses or Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front, then I still think that Everton are a really, really good shout, and they've still got a good run of fixtures. So if I'm looking at scores, I'm looking at a Spurs win, I'm looking at an Arsenal win, I'm looking at a draw for Brentford Brighton, I'm looking at a Man City win, I'm looking at a United win, I'm looking at a West Ham win, a Wolves win, a Chelsea win, Liverpool win, and an Everton win. So they're my predictions for this week. Let's get into the end card. Thank you very much for watching today's video. If you did like it, maybe leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Check out the stream when I went through some drafts up in that corner there to have a look at some ideas that I've had. Things like a Ronaldo and Lukaku draft and a balanced draft, just things like that. So hopefully you liked the video. If you did, I'll maybe see you on Friday for a live stream around 12 p.m. UK time on Friday. Have a good one, guys. As always, take care and good luck for this game week.